Have you ever stopped to think that your arrival into this world was not an accident, nor a coincidence, nor a simple whim of biology, but an exact appointment with the universe, a precise instant, almost impossible to repeat, in which the planets, the stars, and the invisible energies that sustain existence aligned as if a cosmic orchestra conductor had raised their baton, and then, in that sacred silence, you began to breathe. It wasn't before, it wasn't after. It was exactly in that moment, the only moment in which the symphony of the sky could be imprinted upon your soul with the strength and delicacy you needed to begin your journey. Since human beings first looked upward, we knew the sky was not there merely to adorn our nights. We understood, even before we had words to explain it, that this cloak of light and darkness was a language, an ancient, silent language, yet so eloquent it could tell us who we are and where we are going. The wise men of ancient Mesopotamia, the Egyptian priests, the Greek philosophers, the astrologers of India, all agreed on something: the stars were not distant objects, but messengers. Each point of light, each planetary movement, each shadow of an eclipse was a sign, a paragraph in the great book of destiny. And you are part of that book. Your story did not begin the day you opened your eyes. It began much earlier. It began in the exact moment your soul chose to enter this plane. And in that instant, the sky left an imprint on you, your birth chart. That chart is not just a pretty drawing with symbols and lines. It is a map that describes your potential, your gifts, your chosen challenges, the wounds your soul decided to face, and the lessons you came to learn. It is not a sentence, it is a mirror, a reminder. The sun in your chart is much more than a zodiac sign. It is the central fire of your spirit, the unique spark you came to radiate into the world. The moon is your emotional refuge, but also the memory of other lives, the invisible roots that connect you to experiences you sometimes don't understand, yet still feel. Mercury is the translator of your soul. It shows how your mind processes the invisible language of the universe. Venus reveals the way you love, not only others, but yourself, and how you seek beauty in everything you touch. Mars, that inner warrior, marks how you face your battles, whether external or within your own heart. Jupiter is the compass of expansion, the great teacher that invites you to go beyond your known limits. Saturn, the guardian of time, reminds you that all growth requires structure, discipline, and patience. And then there are the transpersonal planets: Uranus, which wakes you up with unexpected jolts; Neptune, which calls you to faith and connection with the divine; and Pluto, which confronts you with your shadow so that you may die and be reborn symbolically over and over again. But your chart is not an immovable picture, it is alive. Each transit, each conjunction, each eclipse is like a gentle, or sometimes abrupt, knock at the door of your consciousness. Saturn will ask for maturity. Neptune will put you face to face with illusion and ask for faith. Pluto will demand you let go of what you no longer are so that the new can be born. The ancients did not consult their chart to make excuses. They did not say, "I'm like this because Saturn is in my first house." No, they looked at the sky to understand where the soul's work was. They knew that a tense aspect was not a condemnation, but an invitation to inner alchemy. The natal chart is like a temple you must walk through. The zodiac houses are the rooms. Some are wide and full of light. Others lie in shadow waiting for you to enter with a lamp. Some invite introspection, others action. Some hold treasures, others hide trials. The ascendant is the doorway into your life. It is not only the mask you show the world, but the spiritual suit your soul chose to navigate this existence. And the midheaven is the lighthouse that marks the footprint your spirit wants to leave. In this map there are also hidden codes that few dare to look at. The black moon, or Lilith, reveals ancient wounds, places where your soul felt exiled, and which, once integrated, release a wild and creative force. The North Node points to the uncomfortable yet fertile territory where your evolution lies, and the South Node marks the familiar zones that, if you cling to them, can become invisible chains. Understanding your chart is not about being ruled by it. It is about awakening to its message so that you are the one who lives it, not the other way around, because as long as it remains unconscious, the map will lead you without you knowing it. You will repeat patterns, stumble over the same stones, and believe it is bad luck or fate. But when you look at it with the eye of the soul, you understand it was never chance, it was always part of the plan. Spiritual astrology is not to predict your life as if you were a spectator. It is to remind you what you chose before you forgot. And by remembering, you can choose again. But this time, with awareness. It is not about changing the sky, but about learning to dance with it. Imagine that each day of your life is a note in a celestial score. Sometimes, the melody is soft and harmonious. Other times, intense and dissonant. But it is always you who decides how to interpret it, with fear or with presence. The universe did not give you a script for you to stand still. It gave you a map for you to explore. And there lies the real mystery, that although the stars marked the path for you, you are the one who shapes it. That although the sky spoke to you the day you were born, you decide whether to listen or to forget. Now the question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you keep walking with your eyes down, without looking at the sky that lives inside you? Or will you dare to decipher the language that has always accompanied you? Because that instant when you were born still resonates, and the stars still have something to tell you. If this message lit something within you, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends, so they too can remember the secret language of the sky. And now tell me in the comments, do you believe your life was already written in the stars, or do you think you are the one holding the pen that writes your destiny? And if now, you closed your eyes for a moment, you could feel it, that moment, the exact instant your soul crossed the threshold. Perhaps you don't remember it with images, but your heart knows it. It was like diving into an ocean of light and shadow at the same time. It was the first heartbeat, not just of your body, but of your story on this earth. In that precise second, the sky wrote a code into you, and it did not do it with ink, but with energy. An energy that vibrates, breathes, and unfolds each time you live an experience, each time you make a decision, each time you feel deeply. The curious thing is that this code does not impose itself. It never forces you. It is like a map waiting to be looked at, like a book patiently waiting for you to open it. You can go your whole life without reading it, or you can decide the time has come to understand it. The natal chart is not only a description of you, it is a dialogue between what you are and what you could become, between what you bring from other lives and what you came to learn in this one, between your light and your shadow, which far from being enemies, are the two wings you need to fly. Imagine your soul, before being born, sitting at a table with the universe. Together they chose the date, the time, the exact place. They chose the planetary configuration that would give you the perfect tools and the precise challenges for your evolution. It was not a whimsical choice. It was an act of deep love toward yourself, because the soul knows that only through certain trials and lessons can you remember who you truly are. But of course, upon arriving here, we forget. We forget that pact. We forget that we chose our family, our gifts, even our hardest trials. And so, when difficulties appear, we think life is punishing us, or that we have had bad luck. And yet, each difficult moment bears the signature of the sky. Each breakup, each loss, each apparent mistake is a doorway to a higher level of understanding. Look, for example, at what happens when Saturn transits a key point in your chart. You feel the weight, the pressure, the demand. Everything seems slower, harder. But if you look with the eye of the soul, you will see Saturn does not come to punish you, but to give you structure. It is building you like a sculptor who removes what is excess so that your most authentic form may appear. Or think of Neptune,
When it arrives, everything becomes diffuse, uncertain. Certainties dissolve like sand between your fingers. And then, you must learn to trust, to walk not by what you see, but by what you feel. Neptune teaches you there is an invisible world, and that if you do not open yourself to it, life becomes a mirage. And what can be said of Pluto? That planet that does not ask permission to transform you. When it touches a sensitive point, you feel that something in you dies, that parts of your identity crumble. And yes, it hurts, but later, you understand that pain was the birth of a new you. Pluto reminds you that sometimes to be reborn, you must first burn. The ancients knew this. That is why they did not fear the sky. They did not see it as a judge, but as a teacher. They knew each aspect was a lesson, and that each planetary cycle was a chapter in the soul's story. But today, we live disconnected from that wisdom. We look at the birth chart as if it were a magazine curiosity, not the sacred map it is. We forget that the ascendant is not just how others see me, but the doorway my soul chose to enter the world. We forget that the North Node is not a technical detail, but the direction toward which my spirit calls me, even if I am sometimes afraid to walk that way. And yet, the map is always there, waiting. Sometimes I like to imagine the birth chart as a garden. At the moment of your birth, that garden was planted with very specific seeds, some of talent, others of lesson, others of love, others of trial. Some sprout quickly, others take years to emerge. Some bloom on their own, others need you to water them consciously. Each planet is like a different tree or flower in that garden. The sun is that strong oak that gives you identity. The moon is a willow that holds in its roots the memory of ancient waters. Venus is a rose bush that needs as much care as freedom. Mars is a strong cactus, capable of blooming in the middle of the desert. And Jupiter is an open field, full of space to grow. But if you do not visit your garden, if you do not care for it, if you do not walk through it to know its corners, how will you know what you truly have? So is your birth chart. You can ignore it and let nature take its course, or you can walk it, understand it, and turn it into a conscious paradise. Because spiritual astrology does not seek to bind you, but to free you. It reminds you that you did not come to this life without a plan, that although free will is real, so is the fact that your soul traced a map to help you not lose your way, and that, even when it seems you have strayed, the universe has mysterious ways of bringing you back to the path your heart chose. You might think, but if my life was already written, why choose? And I tell you, not everything is written. Only the great themes, the central lessons, the key encounters.
The rest is your dance with destiny. It is the way you paint upon the canvas you were given. The stars set the music, but you decide the steps. And that is the magic. That is why, if today you look at the sky and see Venus shining, or the moon in its waxing phase, do not see it as decoration. It is a sign. A reminder that your life is part of something much greater than you, but that at the same time, you are an irreplaceable piece of that whole. Perhaps, tomorrow, when you walk outside, the wind will caress your face, and you will remember that this same air has touched mountains, seas, and cities you have never seen. That is how the energy of the planets is invisible, yet always present. And so, step by step, transit by transit, lesson by lesson, your chart activates. And one day, without you realizing it, you begin to live not as someone lost in a chaotic world, but as a navigator who knows how to read the stars. Then, you no longer blame fate. You no longer fear the future. You no longer ask why me, but what can I learn from this? And that is the difference between living asleep and living awake. Because in the end, astrology is not to know what will happen tomorrow, but to remember who you are today. It is not to control the sky, but to learn to dance with it. So tell me, will you keep walking with your eyes fixed on the ground, or will you lift your gaze to recognize that an entire map awaits you up there, and also here within?